Welcome everyone to another episode. You know, I do so many shows. I don't know which one this one is called. So this is The Art of Social Media with the amazing Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick. You know, Peg, I've been trying to say your name forever. I finally got it. So Guy and Peg have written a book together called The Art of Social Media. And what amazes me about this book, Guy and Peg, is the way that you are going on promoting it. So,
You mean not the content? You don't care about the content. You just care how we promote it.
because you know, the content is obviously good. I contributed to it, so of course.
Okay.
But but the content is awesome. I read the book. It's really, really great. It's straight up, great tips. And what's funny, I never heard you cuss, Guy, before, but then I read you cussing over the entire book.
What? This is the second time today people accuse me of being profane. You must have me confused with Gary V. I don't.
No, no, no. There's some stuff where you were like, and I didn't mark them. There are places where you're like, you know, so which is actually, I like it because it makes me connect with you more. You're not really highfalutin me. You
No.
are talking to me directly, face to face, which is what social media should be like, right?
All right. Well, I should have start swearing earlier then.
Yeah, you should have been like, buy my shit. So let's talk about this for a second because first of all, before we get started, guys, you're watching this hangout. There's something that Guy and Peg did that is really, really amazing. And we should all model, not copy, not steal, just model. And it's called, it's a quiz that they've done on their website. So I'm going to share my screen for a second. Let you guys see this. The link is in the event page. So if you go to the link on the event page, you can just come to this page and start a quiz. And what I'd like to see you comment is the number, the score that you got. How smart are you guys with social media? Let us know how well you know social media. And by the end of this hangout, we'll just take the comments. So that'll be cool. So, so the book guy talks a lot about how to use social media. And one of the really cool things there is how to socialize an event.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is that you are talking about live physical events,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
you're connecting the virtual world with the physical world using social media, which a lot of people are not doing. So talk about that for a second.
Yes. So this is based on an experience that Peg and I had when I was advising the CEO of Motorola. Motorola used me to roll out the Moto X phone in most of South America. And we decided that an event should not be limited to the people who are physically there because Moto X has worldwide appeal. So we went on this social media tear and we started doing all these things to ensure that the topic would trend. And I'll just give you some insights into this. So first of all, we picked an easy hashtag. So we didn't do something like Moto X Brazil 2014, which is what many companies do.
Right.
And if you think about it, that's so stupid because, do they think that they have to make it Moto X Brazil 14 because people will be using that hashtag all the way into 2015? So, God forbid people are going to confuse the two meetings a year apart, right?
Right.
So our theory was to use as short a hashtag as possible. So the shortest one would be Moto X. Now, some people would say don't use Moto X because it'll be confusing with all the other people tweeting about Motorola that day, but who are not at the event. But our logic was, well, we want people in Croatia to know there's an event in Brazil. So what's the problem? And then even better bonus or mistake, depending on how you want to look at it, is a lot of people think that Moto X, the hashtag, belongs to motocross, the motorcycle sport.
Oh.
But we kind of usurped that. So there were a lot of people who, thought they were buying motorcycles. They bought phones that day. So we just kept going from there. So we did things like we got a special background so that whenever people would take pictures, the Motorola logo would be in the back of them. Just like when you see, after a game, you see the coach being interviewed and there's like, the Tostitos bowl or whatever, right? So we did that. We took a lot of pictures. lots of people take pictures when they're asked. We did it the opposite. I would go to everybody and ask to take pictures, so we could take picture with them. Then we shared the picture, so they would reshare the picture. So all of this, and another thing is, Peg was more or less dedicated to social media at the event.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies don't dedicate a person. Most companies, you know, well, first of all, most companies give up on social media at an event. They use social media to get people to sign up for the event, but they don't use it to promote the event during the event. And so our theory was we wanted to make it seem like the only place to be in the world at that moment was at the Moto X event. And Peg, you can add some more tips, but we truly know how to make an event into a social media thing, and we passed all that knowledge on in the book.
You did. You actually did. And what's interesting, and Peg, just a second. What I hear you say is that you use hashtags and Twitter. Was that like the main platform that you're using to promote events?
Peg, I'll let you answer that because I know what the answer is.
We did it we posted everywhere. We posted on Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram primarily for events. Those are all great live events with hashtags. Pinterest is not great for live things. Pinterest is about things that you like. It's not. We tried doing pictures a little bit, but it's just not the right place for it. Instagram is amazing, and Twitter's just so fast. Everybody's on there for events, so Twitter's fun. So yeah.
So if someone has a local event, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're starting locally. They don't have a lot of people on their mailing list or a big audience on all of social media. What I hear you say is like pick a hashtag that is short, easy. People might know it, and by great mistake even confuse it with some different brand and ride that wave, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they should literally pound it into the audience and pound it into the speakers. Sometimes a company at the start of an event, they'll say, okay, so today's hashtag is, whatever, Acme Sales 2014 Sao Paulo, right? And they say it once, and, who remembers that? So, one of the things we did is, like, we would just pound it in constantly to people. Moto X is the hashtag. Moto X is the hashtag. Multiple times. Finally, I got to the point where I would start my keynote and I would say, okay, so the hashtag is Moto X. I am not going to start this keynote until you all tweet something with that hashtag in it. And that's how blatant we were.
Mm-hmm. And it helps to just keep readdressing it. We just spoke at a conference yesterday and today, and same thing. When I'm getting ready to talk, I always say what my aunt mention is on Twitter and what the hashtag is. We had our little hashtag sign, so we did pictures, and people posted it on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook with the hashtag. So hashtags connect you with people everywhere. So just get your hashtag on and get your event popular.
Right? Here's something that Google did in South by Southwest. They had a big monitor, and they showed the stream of a hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted your name to be shown, for everybody there, like, hey, if I just said blah, you would use that hashtag, and everybody saw you're popping up on the screen. Kind of like immediate, gratification.
Yeah. Did they use Tweetwall Pro? That's a pretty popular one.
No, they did it in Google Plus. So you search for events, right?
Yeah, cool.
And hashtags in Google Plus, and they just let Google Plus run.
That's awesome.
Another cool thing is with events that we do in Google Plus, right? If everybody is in party mode, you get the pictures of everybody in the room on one event, right? And then everybody shares it because it's like, look, it's me with Guy. Look. Right? So yeah, you're right. There are so many ways that you can connect social media with the outside world, and I guess you guys both kind of feel the same way. Do you feel like people online behave completely different than people offline?
We're the same online and offline. So
we are, yeah. But do you feel like the most companies coming in and they're like, forget how to be human and start marketing?
I think companies do have a little bit more hard time, and they do, unfortunately, try to address it from a corporate. I mean, they are a company, so they have to keep that in mind, but they have to connect with people in ways that they want to be communicated with. And Motorola themselves did an amazing job in each city of, like, they had the flavor of the city, and they had like dancers or people dressed up, and I mean it was so cool, just the events that they created. If they hadn't shared that with everybody online, that would have been a huge waste for them. The people who had, and a lot of these were invite only events, so that makes it even more exciting for other people to see. So if you're going to go to the huge expense of doing these really, really awesome online event, in-person events, you should of course be sharing it all over the place.
Well, what's kind of bizarre, I've noticed this, I speak 75 times a year to large events, and it's kind of strange. So you go to one of these events, let's say there's a couple thousand people there. You know that when you add everything up, it probably costs $5 million, right?
Yeah.
So they spent $5 million, but they wouldn't have one dedicated social media person.
For a day. How much could that
for
cost?
a day. Like, so why don't you have like one person come in and handle social media all day long, not make it, the 15th responsibility of someone from the PR department. Just have one person who's going to create more exposures for the event than arguably anybody else at the event, right? Like, I just don't understand that. And then, in order to save money or whatever, they have a wireless network that's password protected, and they don't let everybody use it because, well, God forbid too many people would share that they're at the event, and you tie up our wireless, and it might cost us $1,000 a day to have a wireless open network. Or what if some hacker decided to host his website during our conference, from our wireless? Like, I don't know what they're thinking. So it's just so ass backwards. I just cannot figure that out.
Do you think it's because the notion prior to your book that really talks about engagement, right, and not how not to look clueless on social media and do stupid things like marketing stuff, but aside of that, right, the whole thing was up until now it was post 5 times on Twitter, 2 posts on Facebook, it's you talking at people rather than the whole engagement thing. And there's the mentality of like, we need to be the only one talking, right? We're the one defining our brand, so we need to have total control over it, and God forbid someone says something that we don't like them to say.
Yeah. Well, my attitude towards that is that, well, first of all, if you're not pissing somebody off on social media, you're probably not using it right. That's number one. And I think that companies are so much more afraid of the downside than they are willing to try to grasp the upside. Right. And so, if, to take an extreme example, let's say that instead of tweeting 5 times a day, you tweet 50 times a day, okay? Which is kind of what I do. And so 50 times a day, so you're going to, 2 or 3 people a day are going to get upset that's saying you tweet too much, right? On the other hand, you're probably going to increase your exposure by an order of magnitude. So is it worth it? Yes. And people need to think about that, at an extreme example, so United breaks this guy's guitar. He makes a great viral video about United breaks guitars. 35 million people or however many watched that video. But was it the end of United Airlines? Not at all. Now, I'm not saying you should purposely break the guitar, but you should also think that, one single faux pas, one angry tweet, whatever, it shouldn't control your social media philosophy.
The other aspect of that is that if companies think that they can control the online message, that's their first mistake. Because the world of social media is talking all the time, and the brands that aren't listening are the ones that are losing out. You don't control the message. You listen to what people are talking about, and you join in the conversation with them when you can, whether it's to help them and solve a problem, or if it's just to say hi, or, I mean, like, yesterday, Goldfish brand followed me, like the Pepperidge Farm Goldfish. I don't know why. And I was like, yay. I don't know. My son loves Goldfish. So I was like, yay, thanks for following me, Goldfish. Like, it's just random. But that's how social media is. They're listening. They're looking. I don't know why they found me. But brands can't control the message. That's the biggest myth. And I think they want to. I think you're right that they want to control what goes out. but most of the social media that happens around brands is conversations that they don't even start.
Right.
So
It's another very interesting thing. Before I dive into that, sorry, guys, those of you who are watching, if you want to join the Hangout and actually talk to Guy and Peg and ask them any questions live, I shared a link in the event. You can just click there. It will take you to my website. There is a link. You can join the Hangout and talk to us because this is about engagement. So join us and talk and engage in the conversation. So let's go back to the brands and the book. Why did you feel like you have to write a book?
It's Peggy's idea. I resisted writing this book for the longest time. So Peggy, you can tell that story.
Well, the biggest reason was that a lot of people ask us how we do everything that we do in social media. You know, for example, the Motorola event. It's not anything that anybody else has ever done before as a social media team to like go off and travel around and, you know, do these big events. So it's one of the things is people ask us a lot how we do what we do, and it's you can't answer that in a tweet or a blog post. And you know, part of it is you're not going to share every single, you know, bag of, you know, tricks that you have, but we shared a huge amount of what we do in this book because we love our people who are asking. I mean, it's great that people are interested in what we're doing. So writing a book about how we do our social media was just something that was interesting. And I mean, Guy and I are both obsessed with social media. We talk about it all the time. So our families don't really like to talk to us about it. We figured we'd talk to people that want to. Right, Guy?
The only person who listens to me about social media in my house is my dog.
And his dog's in here with me. So
So what is the really big challenge that you see that companies and individuals and solopreneurs and people just starting with social media, you know, what do they face? What is the biggest problem?
Probably the biggest problem is this, what I already alluded to, which is the fear of the downside as opposed to the willingness to go for the upside of social media. And so
let's talk about that for a second. What is the downside of social media?
If you ask Peggy and I, there is no downside to social media, right? But you know, people believe that if their CEO says the wrong thing, or you know, if one person makes a viral video about breaking guitars, or you know, God knows what, but there's so much action happening in social media and in general in the world that a week from now, you know, no one's going to remember. So they should just, you know, just chill out and kind of, you know, let go. They don't need to be so paranoid. I think a lot of it is because of, you know, the agencies that are involved, that companies sort of outsource their social media to agencies, and agencies are afraid of losing clients,
right?
So they don't want to piss off the CIO, CAO, CMO, CTO. So everything is like, you know, avoidance of bad stuff as opposed to achieving good stuff.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, I was working with the Office of the Governor of Texas, and we were virtualizing live events. So we used Hangouts to bring in a live audience, and we put TVs on the stage so that it's not kind of like the virtual audience is somewhere. It's actually right there on stage, and they can talk and engage. And they were terrified of letting people just ask questions. What if they ask the questions that we don't want them to ask? I'm like, and what if someone in the room asks the questions you don't want them to ask? It's the same thing, right?
And did it happen?
Yeah. In the third one, I actually convinced them to do it. The first one, they were very, you know, the people on the Hangout will type the questions in the chat, and then the representative from the office will take the mic and convey the questions. Right?
But did anything bad ever happen?
No. Of course
we've actually done that kind of hangout before where people were like, right, Guy?
And this is Texas, so if it's not going to happen in Texas, it's not going to happen anywhere, right?
Yeah, that, and also it's like, seriously, who's going to show up to crash an event of the Office of the Governor talking about how to get proposals with the governor?
Yeah.
it's like the topic is so specific and so boring that you would really need someone who joins the hangout really would care about the topic, and they really have questions that they want answered. Otherwise, they have, soap operas to watch, something, right? Like it's not an event that someone will come just to crush it and make a fool out of themselves.
Right.
So yeah, it's the fear of connecting and letting people talk, and also I think it's the not knowing that yes, it happened on a hangout, yes, it's recorded, but we can delete it and we can edit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to stay forever as a oopsie. And you can kick people. So it's just not unknowing. So your book is doing a great job at letting people know the insides of social media and maybe even loosening up some fears about that. So let me take a question from the audience before we dive into how you guys manage your social media. Because Guy, you have almost 10 million followers, right? So Pierre is asking, how much money did you and Peg invest in your social media marketing budget for both the book, and how much do you expect for ROI?
So, okay, this is a funny story. Okay, so to tell you the truth, one day
not to me, Guy.
yeah, right. So one day I get an email from the publisher saying that they're willing to invest $5,000 in advertising.
Social, yep.
Yeah, social, or there's a $5,000 budget, okay? And I was never expecting $5,000. I was never expecting anything. So, I mean, at one level, Pig, isn't the answer $5,000? That's what we spent.
Well, it is. The funny thing is, I asked because I've learned, you have to ask for these things, right, Guy?
Yeah.
So, basically, we do everything that we do is practically free because that's like how we roll. I like to make, like, almost everything in the book is free because almost everything I do is low cost or free. There are some services that I will pay for that I love. And obviously people need to make money, so it's not that we're opposed to paying for things. It's just I am like the kind of person that likes to do it all myself, which is why I love Canva, because I can go and make a whole bunch of Facebook ads for like maybe $1, maybe $2 to make 5 Facebook ads, and then so that to me is a good bargain. It's just we invest our time, basically. Honestly, that's our biggest thing, don't you think, Guy?
Yeah.
More than our money.
I mean, if you really think about it, so if we didn't get that $5,000, would we be sitting here thinking, oh, this is going to fail? Not at all.
I've experimented with some promoted pins. I have been doing promoted pins for the book. So on a total, I've done like maybe 4 promoted pins. I've gotten a couple hundred repins, and I've spent like $25.
So our guess the major
point. So if I sell one book from my experiments, it paid for itself.
Yeah. So our point is, it's not about the money. To answer, the real question he's asked, it's not about money. And like I've seen companies spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing things like buying likes and buying followers and that kind of stuff, which I just think is just the stupidest thing. I mean, they should just give that money to the Red Cross instead. Right. So the answer to the question is, it takes effort, not money.
Unless you don't have skills to do some of the stuff yourself. If you don't have the skills to do any of your design work, then you would need to pay someone for that. Or
yeah, but with Canva solves that question. So
yeah, unless I'm saying you'd have to be pretty bad not to be able to make photos in there.
I mean, the largest expense most companies need to make a break in social media is probably $20, which is what it costs to buy our book.
Well, and we bought, okay, this is what we've spent money on so far. My promoted pins for like $25.87.
Yeah.
A domain name.
Yeah, we bought artof.social, yeah.
Yep, and so the hosting for that was like just added on to hosting that you already had.
Yeah.
And then we did all the web development with a friend of Guy's named Will, who's amazing. That's kind of what we've used for our budget so far. We will be doing 5,000 in posts that the publisher is paying for, so that we're working on.
And you know, the publisher has given us a few hundred books to seed people with, so that costs them something. We pay Sprout Social, right? How much do you pay Sprout Social?
$78 a month
For two of
for me
us?
and you.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, you know, like
what is Sprout Social? What is that?
Oh,
it,
Sprout Social is a social media management platform, and you can post on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Google Plus pages. And you can also monitor your social media there as well. I like to be actually on the platform to respond to like Google Plus. I like to be on Google Plus,
Yeah.
but if you chose, you could respond on there. But I like to be on this. I like to be on Google Plus world when I respond, so I like that better. But that's where we schedule and posts.
so it's something like Buffer or Hootsuite.
Yeah.
You know, those are the big three for us.
Mhm.
Buffer, Hootsuite, and Sprout.
So the other question is probably, okay, I am a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I am not on social media all day long because I have to interact with clients. Maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
in the store or something like that. My options are either to do it, like very sparsely whenever 10 minutes here or there, or outsource to a company, right?
Yeah.
I say do it yourself in the time that you have, and you get something like Sprout Social. Once a week, schedule stuff to go out during the week at different times. Schedule some LinkedIn posts and some Twitter posts. Doesn't have to be huge amounts. And then when you can go online, post something and comment. When you have 15 minutes, to be online and respond, then do that. It doesn't have to take huge amounts of time.
Yeah.
Guy and I spend huge amounts of time because we're on all the platforms and we post a ton. But for a small business owner or an individual person, it doesn't have to take huge amounts of time. Just block your time when you have it. Do, a half hour, 45 minutes in the morning and a half hour, 45 minutes at the end of the day. Just, check in on your comments and mentions.
Well, what I think is important for small business to understand is, you know, they shouldn't look at it like, oh, now I need to do social media. They should look at it as social media equals marketing.
Yep.
So if they're saying to themselves, I have no time to do marketing and there's no value to do marketing, then you probably aren't going to do social media. But to think that social media is different or additional to marketing, I think is false. Today, I think for many small businesses, social media is marketing. So by saying you don't have the time or resources to do social media, you are effectively saying, I'm not going to do any marketing,
Right.
which, is.
It can be a combination of PR, marketing, and sales. I mean, like for a small business, you can wrap your social media up with all those different pieces. So it's definitely worth the time that you put into it. And if you're, a small brick and mortar mom and pop kind of place, it's definitely worth it for you to get in to the platforms where you can connect with your local people.
So let's dive into the marketing side of it, because the way that you guys are going about promoting the book is the way I think things are going to move into in the future. Most of your marketing of the book is on Hangouts. Is that right?
We're hitting everything. we're doing everything. We're doing a lot of Hangouts. We're doing Twitter chats. We're doing blogging. We're doing guest blogging for websites like HubSpot. We have a HubSpot webinar coming up. Let's
You had it
see.
on Forbes, right?
There's an article on Forbes. I think we're writing something for Time,
Yes.
Fortune. So we're hitting like literally every single thing possible. We're
But
on
that's
Pinterest.
online. What I heard you say is like this is totally online. Blogging, articles, Hangouts, Twitch chat. These are all online. You're doing a few book appearances, book signing, but
One.
most of the stuff is really online, right?
We're
Well, we
doing.
did we did we did a live event today. We were at Blog Her today. We were at a conference. We have a book signing tonight that's in person. Guy was on TV this morning. And then we're going to be in New York City for another day of like that's going to be like traditional media events. So the publisher is covering like all the traditional PR pieces, like press releases and hooking us up with big media connections. And we're just using we're making up tons of new stuff because we wrote about tons of stuff in this book, but we really want to push the edge of what we do. So we're coming up with a lot of great things. One really awesome thing was the Thunderclap that we signed up for. It's a little site where you can like get people to help promote what you're doing. And we, you know, signed up. We tried to get 100 people to sign up for it, and we had like 222 people signed up to promote it. So at 10 o'clock this morning Eastern Standard Time, 222 posts went out automatically for 222 different accounts for people saying, hey, check out this great book that I'm interested in.
And how much did that cost us?
That was my brain power. That was it. That was free. It was free.
And that's really the power of social media. You connected with people, right? You couldn't buy this thing. You couldn't buy people. I mean, you could buy people talking about you, but it's not the same.
Right.
Right. And then this is social media. You have 225 posts coming out about you, and the same thing with Hangouts, right? You have other people talking about you to their audience.
Right. And so, that's a great thing about Hangouts, because we're trading audiences. You know, like you're hosting us, but then people who follow me are meeting you if they don't already follow you, or if Guy's followers maybe don't follow you and they can meet people. It's a great way to share your audience whenever you work with other people, and we love doing that. We love doing webinars with other people and Hangouts. It's a great way to connect with a different audience.
So this is, I think, a great time, actually, Guy, to share the story we shared in the green room about relationships on social media. How many times do you get asked to promote other people?
Oh, promote other people? You mean their book, their business?
No, hey, can you share my post? Hey, can you share my video? Hey, can you talk about me?
Like 3 or 4 times a day, something like that.
So this is actually I think Amanda Blaine had a post written about this. Okay, guys, stop asking me for this thing. It's not nice. This is not how you build relationships, right?
Well, it depends who's asking.
Say some more.
Well, so, if like, I believe in reciprocation. Not only do I believe in reciprocation, I believe in paying it in advance. Okay? So, and my life perspective is to default to yes. So generally I'm thinking, yes, I will help you. So, that's how I approach life. I approach life as, 90% full. I'm a happy guy, right? And so I am, like, companies ask me, and I enjoy helping people. I really enjoy helping people make themselves successful. But where I draw the line is where people don't believe in reciprocation. So I know from the past that I've helped them, and then, Peggy knows exactly who I'm talking about. So, when this person has a book, hallelujah, hi, Guy, I'm your best friend, right? But when I have a book, it's like, oh, Guy, I am so busy right now, I just can't help you. Like, okay, you can do that to me exactly one time. And
because even though Guy forgets who it is, Peggy remembers.
That's right. Between the two of us, we have one good mind. So that's my attitude. I love to help people, but some of it is it's just too bizarre. I mean, they're asking me to tweet about feminine hygiene products, and like, why would someone care what I said about this thing? I'm not kidding. This happens all the time.
So let's just go over some of the great ways that you can network. Okay, some ways not to network. In someone's comment thread about something else, don't drop links and say, you'd really be interested in watching my video on panda bears. Not relevant, not going to happen, not going to get shared by anyone.
And you'll be blocked. I will block you. I have a one-time policy. You can do that one time and you're out.
It's true, Facebook and Google+. So that's not the way to do it. But if you connect with people and have conversations in their comment threads, or if you share their content, if you share someone else's content because you like it, they go and see what you're doing, and they will most likely share yours too. And that's what we pay a lot of our stuff forward. We never expect or assume that somebody will share our stuff, but you can't assume that anyone's ever going to share your content if you won't share anyone else's.
Right.
Why would someone else share yours?
So I want to share something that
really share, or just talk about share?
So there was one post that Guy was writing, and he was really talking about the fact that 4 times a day, guys, it's too much to ask him to share stuff, and And I commented with, "Will you share my stuff?" And Guy actually commented in the same stream and he said, "If you have anything worth sharing, I will share it." And I said, "Okay, game on." Totally forgot about this because, come on, I don't know what you value and what you think is worth sharing. And I was interviewed with Mike Elgin. I can't remember the name. James McGuire interviewed us about Google Plus, and I went there and I took that hangout that he interviewed us. I cut it to like 10 different segments because it's very long to watch 1 hour hangout. But I figured, in 10 minutes people can pick it up. And Guy liked one of the segments, and he shared that segment on his profile, and I got a client out of that. So what's really interesting about that little thing is that if you are participating, I mean, Guy, you knew me before then, right? Before you shared my stuff.
Well, because
You saw me in your thing, and you're like, "Oh, I know that person. She's not psycho."
well, it's not that you're not psycho. It's that you post interesting stuff.
Oh, thanks.
That's the only test.
So let's talk about interesting stuff, because in Facebook, it's very, I think of Facebook as a very fake world where people always have to be, up someone else. My dinner is better. My dress is better. My outing is better. Look at me, I'm drunk. Right? So, but it's always trying to come up with a better sensational story that people will react to. What is interesting in social media? What is the stuff that people react to, share, go viral? I mean, there's some science behind it, no? Some art.
So
I like no.
no. So for me, I mean, if people really watched what I post, first of all, full disclosure, there are people who post as me, so i.e. Peggy. There's another person who takes all the articles from Holy Cow, which she curates. She also posts them. So there's multiple people contributing to my outbound promotion and outbound posts, but they all have to pass this test that it's either assistance or information or analysis or entertaining. That's it. It's
Or
going to be one of those.
education.
Yeah. So I'm trying to add value to people's lives. I want people to conclude that if I do not follow Guy, I will not find a lot of good stuff. That's all I'm trying to do. And by following Guy, I get this good stuff, and so he has earned the right to promote his book once a year to me. That's what I'm trying to do. It's very simple. Some people hate when I say this because they believe social media should be social, so it should be like kumbaya and eHarmony and walking on beaches holding hands and drinking wine and all that. I don't believe in that. I just like, here's the deal. I will give you good stuff. Let me promote to you every once in a while.
And it's fair, I hear Jeff Johnson, I interviewed him on a hangout, and he every once in a while goes into his mailing list and say, "Okay, guys, you haven't opened my emails in I don't know how long. You haven't clicked through. You haven't bought anything. So this is your last chance. I'm about to remove you from my list." And he says it openly because it's like, you costing me money. I'm paying, right? I'm paying for my list. So if you are not going to buy from me and you just want my free stuff, then just follow me on social media. But my email list is how I make my money. And I give you a bunch of great value, and I expect you to reciprocate, like you said.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's a great practice because I think in some ways the kumbaya part of it is people want to believe that everything should just be free all the time, and that people who do a lot of social media stuff and they have a lot of followers, that they shouldn't make any money doing it. They should just be doing it all out of the good of their hearts. Well, people either need to write a book and sell it, they need to have clients, they need to be consulting. People have to have income. I mean, it's just the way the world works, you know?
Just like everybody else.
Yeah. So social media isn't all free in that way. I mean, there are people who just do it as purely social, and then there's people who do it as, as a career or as part of what their job is.
It's the same thing as in real life. You might have a friend who's a lawyer, but if you need his services, he's not going to show up in court for free unless he's your friend. Right? He might give you free advice, but he's not going to do this thing for you. So it's the same thing. Like I think that the online life is just the same as offline. So why don't you respect people's time the same way you respect it offline?
You're right. I mean, it's strange. On the internet, people really have a sense of entitlement. That, it's like, how dare you waste my time with a post that wasn't ideal for me? I just cannot relate to that attitude, and it happens all the time, right, Peggy? I mean, it's like, and I just like,
I have people come to my stream and complain about my post, and I'm like, you won't see it if you don't follow me. Don't follow me.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I invented the acronym UFM, UFM, which some people think is profanity, but it really isn't. It's unfollow me. You don't like it, UFM. Or, if you don't think I'm funny, UFM if you can't take a joke. I mean,
Love it. There's another question. I can't pronounce his name. Fruba, I think. And he says, "Hey, Guy and Peg, what are the challenges when you started social media management, and how did you overcome those challenges?"
well, my challenges were everything, and I overcame them by finding Peggy.
My biggest challenge would be that I love social media and I never get offline. So
when you first started, right? You had no followers, nobody knew who you were.
right.
You probably didn't even have anything to sell yet, right?
Nope, today was my first day. It's totally legit. Like
You-
4 years finally. Like,
This is you lost your e-commerce virginity today?
It's perfect.
Was it good for you?
So far, yeah. But so really, that was a joke. But the biggest challenge people have with social media when they're just starting is they get overwhelmed with too many choices because there's tons and tons of different platforms. So find the one that fits with that you love the most and focus on learning that one and being really good on that before you try to move out to something else and do other ones. You don't have to be awesome on every single platform. Just be like really amazing on one is fine.
Yep.
And then add other ones in if you want to or need to.
Yep, totally. I'm only on Google Plus, so yeah, it's easier, and I think that it's cross platforms because you can be in Google Plus and be everywhere, and I don't need to live in 140 character world or in a resume world, right? So Elaine, my friend, unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Guy, or should I actually say Jack Bauer?
As long as it's not Jackie Chan.
I've just got a quick question about how many books you're hoping to sell. Have you got a target?
Yep.
Boy, this is a trick question because I would love to sell 1 million copies. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong. That is what you call a stretch goal, okay? But that
Over
would.
time or in one night?
How many people are watching the Hangout?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I just want Peggy to be able to afford to buy a convertible Audi A3. That's my goal.
I can go buy that right now.
So no need to buy any of the books, guys. You're in luck.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually bought the book, and I bought the book off the back of the quiz. I realised that I thought I knew more than, in fact, I do know. So I'm looking forward to reading that book.
I think tonight Peg and I are going to go make that quiz harder.
Yeah, we're going to add some new questions tonight.
So this is a great, guys, if you haven't yet filled out the quiz, please do so and let us know what result did you get.
Nobody likes to say what their grades were on it.
Why?
Because no one's done. I haven't heard of anybody who got 100.
Really? Did you get 100?
Of course.
So let's talk about that from a marketing point of view. What's really great about what you did is that you showed people that they need your product by basically asking them to see how knowledgeable they are.
That would be my market. That would be my MBA co-author's idea.
But what's great about that is that there's no marketing pitch, right? It's kind of like, hey, if you already know, then you're good. If you don't, then you probably need the book. But one of the main components in that is knowing what questions to ask. And I know we asked you before, but how did you come up with the questions?
Well, Guy was like, I want to do this quiz, and he came up with 4 questions, and he was like, there you go. So, but then we went back and forth, like we both added some, and then we talked about the answers, and my daughter Shayla contributed a couple because she's like younger. She's younger, obviously, than us because she's my daughter. She's a computer science major. She likes Tumblr and YouTube, so she's into different platforms than we are. So we tried to cover basically a little teeny bit of all different social networks in it. So it would be, it wasn't all about Google Plus. It wasn't all about Twitter. We did a little bit here and there, and most people are not all over on every platform, so chances are it would be a challenge for people in some areas. If we made it all Google Plus, maybe the Plusers would have all been like, forget it, we don't need to read it, and the people on Twitter would have been like, Google what? So,
I think anybody listening or watching this right now or on YouTube later, here's one question you could ask yourself that will tell you whether you need this book or not. Okay. So the one question is, how many pictures can you add to a tweet? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
In one time, or like
at one time? One tweet. How many pictures? And if you don't know the answer to this question, for sure you should read the book.
There you go. I read the book. So first of all, Colleen.
Do you know the answer?
I don't know, but I'm not a Twitter user. I can tell you in Google Plus, but I can't tell you.
I don't think there is a limit to pictures at Google Plus.
Yeah, you can make an album, right?
Yeah.
You can. The one thing that I haven't tested
passed.
yet. So this is another thing that I need to test, and maybe you guys know the answer to. In Facebook, there's if you create an album in Facebook and you get views to it, you can come back later and add another photo and be like, look guys, the one photo I just uploaded 2 seconds ago already has 100 views, right? Because it pops back to the top of the timeline in Facebook. In Google Plus, I haven't tested it to see if you have an album and then you add something to it, if it gets more exposure just because you refresh the content.
You'd probably have to reshare it on Google Plus to get it to go back up through.
Right.
I don't think it would refresh it back.
We should put this in the quiz.
Yeah.
Only if we figure the answer out. I don't think that it does.
We need to test it out. So guys, if you want to test it out, here's one thing to test out.
Yeah, go test it, report back.
Go test it and let us know. We'll add it to the second book. So just so you guys Colleen McKinney got 66.7 on the quiz. So need the book? I think
Need
so,
the book?
Yeah.
Need the book.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
And there's another question about profiles and pages. Benjamin is asking, I have a particular times I post on my Google Plus personal profile for the biggest impact. But what should I do when I travel to different time zones?
Well, this is a mistake that I think Google is making, which is the only way you can use a tool like Sprout or Buffer or Hootsuite is if you have a page as opposed to a profile. So the only tool that I know that you can post to a profile is DoShare, but DoShare has to be running on Chrome on the computer to post at that time. Yeah. So in this case where you're on an airplane and that airplane doesn't have Wi-Fi and you're not awake or something like that, DoShare can't do it. Not DoShare's fault. It's because Google has not opened up the APIs so that tools like Buffer and Hootsuite and Sprout can work on profiles instead of only pages. So in a sense, he's kind of screwed, right, Peg? I mean, what?
Yeah, you can't. There's no way to post on a profile.
Well, what about Nodex? Because I think Nodex allows you to manage your profile plus some pages, and Nodex does schedule it for you. Any idea?
We'll check it out. News to me.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had scheduling for profiles. If they do, it's the only thing that you could do it on then.
So Lee Smallwood, if you're hearing us right now, I know you're asleep. It's Europe, but if you're listening to us, let us know if Nodex can let you schedule posts for profiles, because that will solve the problem.
Well, and we really need to know, because if this is true, one of our quiz questions is wrong.
And we will get some more business.
That's right.
There you go. So Lee will get Lee to talk about it. So Guy, how do you when I read the book, you don't have any system of running your social media. The one system that you have is called Peg. So so let's talk about the
What's
difference.
wrong with that?
Well, let's talk about the difference between the two approaches. One, it's like whenever I feel like it, and one is very scheduled and calculated. You want to start?
Obviously, Peg is the scheduled and calculated, but what I do, I have two kinds of posts. So one kind of post I use depending on what mood I'm in, but mostly right now I'm using Sprout. I will put a post into the Sprout heap of things to go out, and then whenever is the next time it goes. Okay, so that's scheduled, that's planned. Peggy has created that schedule. I just dump into that schedule. That's one kind of thing I do. The other thing I do is like when I travel or when I see something funny, I will post immediately no matter what time of day, because I don't know, I just have zero. It's I need immediate gratification. That's the answer. So when I see something funny or I take a picture, I just post. I don't care what time of day. And that's kind of my theory. Or the other thing I do immediately is when something really upsets me, that I just want to bare my chest and let it just all hang out. And one of those things occurred a couple days ago when I found out that if you use a Dymo label maker and you want to print postage, believe it or not, you have to authenticate the role of labels. Yes.
What's that mean?
Yes. So you see these kind of labels here?
Mm-hmm.
These kind of labels, Dymo doesn't want you to use third-party knockoff labels. So every 205 labels, it asks you to put in the code from the back of the label. And I am 60 years old, and it's printed with a dot matrix printer in a 3-point font. I cannot read this thing. So I'm like, I was sitting there at midnight trying to print off labels to probably send your copy of your book, and I couldn't print postage. And that so pissed me off that at 12 o'clock one night I just said, I cannot understand it. The stupidest thing you heard, thank God Dymo doesn't make toilet paper rolls, because you'd have to authenticate your toilet paper before you can wipe your butt. I mean, it just sent me off. So anyway, that's the other kind of thing I post without schedule.
So actually, to tap on this one is, I love it. When you guys are talking about taming the content monster. Did I say it right?
Feed the content monster.
Feeding the content monster. And it's very, very difficult to always come out with like great content that Guy will find worthy to share. But it's much easier to give your opinions about something. So when you read or when you have a reaction to something, it's much easier to just post your reaction. And that builds relationship online. So if you read something that Guy or Peg or me shared and you have a reaction, if you share it, mentioning people and giving you your 2 points, you are building the reciprocal. I'm not going to say that. Reciprocity. You're building a social media currency. There you go. So give your opinions. Make sure that it's not always bad, because you might not have 10 million followers that will be happy to hear it. So aside of that, Peg, how do you manage social media?
Basically, the tools that I use the most are, I love Feedly to find content that I like, and I create little lists for certain things. So if it's like, if I'm looking for LinkedIn posts, I'll go on Feedly, and I have certain blog posts that I'll feed into that. If I'm looking, I have schedules set up in Sprout Social when I want things to go at certain times. So I can just go into Feedly, and then I'll hit the Chrome extension, and I'll read through it. If I like it, I will share it. I just hit the Chrome extension for Sprout Social, and it goes into the queue for the next time. So the pieces where I spend a lot of time working on things is like setting up the schedule in Sprout Social to see when I want to share things, and like move things apart. Sometimes I have to tell Guy to like like get out of it, like get what. Sometimes I'm like, what did you just do? And he'll be like, I'm bored, and I'll be like, uh, go be bored on a different thing. Some platforms you can just share, like I swear Twitter you could just share unlimited content and it's totally fine. Google Plus as well is like so forgiving. Like you could share a ton one day, a couple things the next day. It's totally fine. Like people are like, yay, you're here. You know, if they don't seem to care if you share a lot or a little, which is awesome. Because some days I do just find a lot of great stuff that I want to share, and that's cool. LinkedIn, you know, Guy shares it. We both share there on a consistent basis, a couple times a day. Guy is like a power user everywhere, so he shares like 4 updates, short ones on LinkedIn every day, and then longer form posts when when there's something longer to write about. So it's basically about being consistent. So setting up your schedules for how often you want to post, and then defeating the constant monsters, filling in the blanks every week on that schedule. And I use Alltop, I use Feedly, and then I just have I use Triber as well to fill in the spots on my calendar every week.
So,
Once you get organized, it's really not hard. It's just a matter of being consistent with it and being organized.
So before I ask my next question, Jason T. Weiser said 4 pictures to a tweet. Is that right?
Yay, Jason.
You don't need to read the book.
I think he looked it up in the book. Didn't he have the book? Jason, did you look that up in the book?
Okay, so 999,099 more to go.
Do you guys build a mailing list? Do you have a mailing list? Do you use it? Do you use your social media to feed your mailing list?
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes.
All?
Yes, we build our list. Yes, we have lists. We have individual lists, and we use some bigger lists together. But like I have one for my blog, and we do use them to share, like all the events that we have coming up. Or last night we emailed saying that the book was live. If you read the book as a preview, would you please do an Amazon review for us? And that's Guy's great idea. He came up with that a couple books ago. Did you start doing that with Ape, or did you do that before?
I started doing that with the first book that got all 5s. I don't know. I can't remember.
The first book ever. So that's something that Guy, personal connection means a lot in social media, and email, some people just love email the most, and it is if you write good email to people on your emailing list and provide value to them, every once in a while, if you're sharing something like, hey, can you help me out with this, they're really happy to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a great way to connect with people.
So building your mailing, is that the best way for you guys to monetize, or do you also monetize from just social media streams?
I think the email list is a great way to monetize, but there's different ways. I mean, there's writing a book, there's giving speeches if you get to the point where you get paid. Unfortunately, with giving speeches, you have to do a lot of free speaking gigs before you get any paid ones. It's like a crazy little thing. And then you can work with clients and do consulting. There's different ways.
But generally speaking, we don't monetize our efforts in the way that most people mean it. Because generally speaking, we're just paying it forward all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, how often do I offer something that I can monetize? At most, I write a book a year. So
that's 364 other days that are not your book launch.
Yeah. So let's say a book launch is a week, of intenseness. That's a lot of days we don't do that. Now, the other hat, of course, I wear is Canva. So I'm chief evangelist of Canva. And so, it's good to have an employee of your company with 10 million followers. But even with Canva, Canva is basically a free service. The only time you ever pay Canva is if you voluntarily use a stock photo. You can use your own photos and never pay Canva.
Which is what I do.
Yeah. So I'm not obsessed in the short term with monetizing. I figure, through books once a year through speeches, through adoption of Canva. It'll all come out.
And we work with brands occasionally.
Yeah, we work with brands occasionally. I mean, that's why tomorrow morning Audi is giving me an S3. Well,
To give Peg.
yeah. And I told him to be sure to send it on the last day that Peg is here so she can not use it. And by the way, I don't mean give, I mean loan for a
It's a
while.
borrow, yeah, it's a borrow.
Yeah.
So two things, Guy. One, Jason says that he did cheat because he did read that in your book. So
I totally called you out on that one.
But we respect him for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it shows you guys that the book is really awesome with all these great tips in there. And he said he also learned a lot about SlideShare that he didn't know in the book. So that's a good thing. And
I have more SlideShare tips.
You what?
I have more SlideShare stuff.
The next book is coming.
Yeah.
And Lee Smallwood is saying that you can schedule personal posts from Nodex.
We'll have to check that out.
Change your survey.
How do you spell Nodex?
Nodx.
3x.
And you can use that to schedule posts on your profile on Google Plus without having your computer running.
Yep. Nodex runs in the back end. So you can not only do it just in Google Plus, you do it on all social media. So Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of them. But it also, Guy, gives you analytics of who are the best engagers, what hashtags
people are
using.
He's not listening to it more because he's looking it up now.
Yeah. How do you spell it?
NOD3X. And if you're going to buy it, I have a great deal for you for my affiliate link.
NODXXX?
No, NOD3, number 3X.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We're just doing a great marketing for Nodex.
Yeah,
so
we will. Sorry to wake you up, Lee, but we're happy to share your product.
It's a really great product. Actually, I looked into the last updates, and it's amazing. It's way simpler than it used to be. And what's really, really great about that, if anyone is looking at how to position themselves in the market and who to connect with and build an engaged audience, like a very focused audience, Nodex is really great on figuring that out. Like, who do you need to follow, all that stuff. Guy, by the way, you should know it's integrated with Canva.
Oh, it is?
It is integrated with Canva, so you can create a Canva post from within Nodex with an image and all that stuff without leaving out and sharing it on all.
It has a design button. They have the design button in there.
Yep.
Now, how the hell do I not know this? I don't understand. How can this be true?
Well, I'm glad you're coming on my Hangout, Guy, to learn how to use my app. I love having you.
Huh. So pardon me while I don't make eye contact because I'm reading about Nodex right now.
There you go. So we are left with Peg. So, and actually we are over.
Yeah.
So guys, what I will recommend you do is take the quiz. And if you're getting a 4 or a 64 or anything below 100, and you want to learn how to use social media across all platforms, buy Nodex for my link, affiliate link, and then buy the book and implement everything you read there. Anything else, guys, you want to say before we finish?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having us on. And also, if you want to learn anything about the book, just go to artof.social. Very clever domain that we tried, right, Peggy?
Love it.
And that's it. And one last piece of advice is that, you know, I think nobody really knows exactly how social media works. It takes a lot of experimentation, and you know, depending on what mood Mark Zuckerberg gets up on in the morning or gets up with in the morning, so it's always changing. So keep experimenting. Don't believe anybody who says they're a social media expert, including myself and Peg. Experiment, try. It's a really exciting time. Social media is fast and free and ubiquitous. You know, can't get much better than that. So it's just a blast.
Yeah. Peg?
Thanks for having us.
It's my pleasure. And Guy, I just have to agree with what you're saying about nobody is an expert and everything is a test. So you put something out there, take Guy and Peg's book, test everything in there, and then see the result and then course correct. So it's just, you know, a trial and error, and people are different, but they're all people, so it's fun. So thank you guys so much for being
All
here.
right.
I really
Sei
enjoyed
gesund.
it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.